Good Monday morning. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Stephanie Gosk, in for Savannah Sellers. Right now on Morning News Now, fired up. A new NBC News poll shows the majority of voters are highly interested in the upcoming midterm elections. With voters more engaged than ever, Republicans and Democrats are crisscrossing the country in hopes of winning the majority in Congress. That includes former President Trump, who held a rally in Texas over the weekend. With a little more than 2 weeks until Election Day, we have full coverage, including a look at Trump's influence this time around. Warning shots. North and South Korea exchange gunfire, escalating tensions in the region this morning. The latest on the confrontation overnight as concerns grow about more weapon tests by Kim Jong-un. Also this morning, back on the gridiron. Miami's star quarterback returns to the game after suffering 2 head injuries, leading the NFL to change its concussion protocol.
I just want to go out and do good things for my team. We only have a short span of our prime time.
What he told NBC Sports about the new concussion rules and his message for other players who suffer similar injuries. Plus, party in the back. This morning, we now know who has the best mullet in America, and they have a trophy to prove it. The winner of the USA Mullet Championship joins us live later this hour with how he was able to take home the title in the main event. Event,
you
Joe.
are excited about that one, I can tell.
I just started growing my mullet this morning. Can you see it?
I haven't had a haircut in a while either, so I think we're both
we'll next year. Together.
Next year.
We'll own that trophy.
It'll be a tag team competition.
All right, well, we begin this morning with the latest on the midterm elections and new information about how engaged voters are.
We are now just 15 days away from Election Day, and NBC News polling numbers show voters are more fired up about the high-stakes contest than ever. 70% of voters say this election is more important to them than past midterms. That's up 6 points compared to August and September. Closer look at the party breakdown shows 78% of Republicans feel this year's elections are important compared to 69% of Democrats. NBC News senior political editor Mark Murray joins us now for more on the latest polling numbers. Mark, good morning to you. So what stood out to you from the results of this latest NBC News poll? What does it say about voters' state of mind right now?
Yeah, Joe, it really says that we're headed for unprecedented midterm turnout. Back in the 2018 midterms, which set a record, our poll showed that 65% of voters said that they had high interest in the election. Now it's at 70%. And what we've seen in the Trump and then the post-Trump era has been just unprecedented turnout. And I think we're all bracing for that again. The other thing that really stood out to me, Joe, was just the polarization in the electorate. We asked a question on, does the other party's agenda pose a threat that could destroy America? And we found 81% of Democrats and 79% of Republicans answering in the affirmative there. So we are, the country is really energized, really fired up, and highly polarized.
Let's talk specifically about Florida, the race for governor there. There's going to be a debate there today between the Republican incumbent governor, Ron DeSantis, the Democrat, Charlie Crist, who's a former governor. This is going to be their first and only debate. It comes on the same day that early voting begins in that state. So what are you watching for in this debate?
Yeah, I'm watching to see if Charlie Crist can somehow shake and change the dynamics in this contest that currently favor DeSantis, the Republican incumbent right now. We see in polling that both statewide Republicans, Ron DeSantis, as well as incumbent Senator Marco Rubio, are favored in a state like Florida, which has been trending in the Republican Party's direction. So obviously in a debate, you want to be able to have a moment that can actually shake up the contest. Crist, a longtime former Republican governor, then turned independent. He has had a lot of experience in debates, and now as a firm Democrat, a former congressman, now running for the for governor. We'll see if he can pull in a really good performance for his side. Early voting also begins in Texas today. State officials say they're preparing for an increase in voters more than past elections. What are some of the key issues and things on the ballot there? Yeah, Joe, there's a recent Quinnipiac poll that actually found out that border and the border security is issue number one in the state of Texas. But I'll also point to our own national NBC News poll that actually shows that really is kind of the tale of the two different electorates. Republicans are fired up about the border. They're fired up about crime. They're also fired up about inflation and the economy. Democrats, conversely, are fired up when it comes to the issue of abortion, threats to democracy. And so we're almost seeing these kind of parallel campaigns that Democrats and Republicans are running in Texas, but also across the country.
Very different issues getting each party out to vote. Finally, let's take a look at Pennsylvania, that huge battleground. Dr. Mehmet Oz, Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman, they have their first and only debate. That is tomorrow, so folks are going to be watching that. But this morning, Oz is holding a Hispanic Business Council town hall. A recent NBC News poll found Latinos in Pennsylvania still leaning Democrat, although Democratic advantage there is smaller than previous voting years. So what does Dr. Oz need to do to win over Latinos this close to the midterms?
Yeah, Joe, I think overall he just needs to continue the momentum he's been on. This is a race that has gotten so much closer in the past month or so. There was a point in which polls ended up showing Democrat John Fetterman up double digits in Pennsylvania. Even when you looked at that contest, you knew that that probably wasn't going to hold, just given how tight races have been in the Keystone State over the past several years. But obviously this race has gotten closer. Latinos are going to be important, but so will every subgroup.
All right, Mark Murray taking us all over the map this morning. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Former President Trump spoke for nearly 2 hours at a rally Saturday night in Texas, touching on everything from the 2020 election to inflation, even hinting at a possible 2024 run. NBC News correspondent Zincle Asamoah was there as the former president rallied support.
Hey there. Well, former President Trump is campaigning hard for Republican Texans vying for office this midterm election season.
You're going to vote for an incredible slate of true America First Republicans up and down the ballot.
Here in Robstown, Texas, the former president, candidates and voters gathered to talk about issues that matter to them, many of them centered on America's culture wars, issues of transgender rights for youth and critical race theory top of mind, as well as issues of the economy.
Inflation is costing the typical Texas household nearly $800 every single, not year would be bad, but month. How about that?
The rally coming just a day after the January 6th committee subpoenaed the former president, demanding that he testify. The move drawing criticism from Trump supporters.
It makes me disgusted, so I turn it off. I just would like to know the outcome, but I do keep it on. You know what I mean? It's on, it's off, because you just get upset.
To put this rally into context, it's really about the fight over the Rio Grande Valley. It's a series of 4 counties on the U.S.-Mexico border. For decades, these areas have been conservative Democrat strongholds. But now Republican leaders like Governor Greg Abbott say it may be facing a red wave.
Our support for strong border security is one of the major reasons why Hispanic Americans are joining our movement by the millions and millions and millions.
The Republican Party opening so-called minority outreach centers for communities of color. Here's what some had to say.
So my relationship with Jesus Christ brought me to more so the Republican side because the values lined up with what the Bible said. And so I started just following Trump, man, because I think he's the man to be following.
Research. Don't listen to what other people have to say about whether it's a party or an individual. I mean, politics are politics. Nothing is perfect, but do some research.
Notably absent, Republican Senator Ted Cruz. Also absent was Texas Governor Greg Abbott, who in a statement to NBC says he welcomes President Trump to Texas, however, had to be out of town for a prior commitment. Ultimately, the rally and former President Trump's endorsements reflecting his potential impact on the midterm elections.
All right, Zincle Asamoah, thanks so much.
With early voting already underway, Republican Representative Liz Cheney joined Meet the Press for an exclusive interview to discuss threats to democracy as a top issue this election cycle. Here are some highlights in this week's Meet the Press Compressed.
Let's talk about a speaker, Kevin McCarthy. You clearly think this is a mistake, that he will, you are concerned about his speakership. What specifically concerns you?
Well, look, the speaker is second in line to the presidency. And at every moment since, frankly, the aftermath of the election in 2020, when Minority Leader McCarthy has had the opportunity to do the right thing or do something that serves his own political purpose. He always chooses to serve his own political purpose. The notion that now Kevin McCarthy is going to make himself the leader of the pro-Putin wing of my party is just a stunning thing. It's dangerous. He knows better. But the fact that he's willing to go down the path of suggesting that America will no longer stand for freedom, I think tells you he's willing to sacrifice everything for his own political gain.
You've issued the subpoena, and I assume you're going to let it play out. So what happens on November 5th if you don't have any materials from him?
So we are anticipating that the former president will understand his legal obligation, will comply with the subpoena. We've made clear in the subpoena a number of things, including that if he intends to take the 5th, that he ought to alert us of that ahead of time.
Is the committee open to his supposed offer, or at least behind-the-scenes offer, of going on live television?
So the committee treats this matter with great seriousness, and we are going to proceed in terms of the questioning of the former president under oath. It may take multiple days. And it will be done with a level of rigor and discipline and seriousness that it deserves. We are not going to allow the former president. He's not going to turn this into a circus. This isn't going to be, his first debate against Joe Biden and the circus and the food fight that became. This is far too serious set of issues, and we've made clear exactly what his obligations are.
Donald Trump ends up the nominee in 2024. You've said you're not going to be a Republican anymore. So it implies you think the Republican Party can be saved.
I think that the party has either got to come back from where we are right now, which is a very dangerous and toxic place, or the party will splinter and there will be a new conservative party that rises. And if Donald Trump is the nominee of the Republican Party, the party will shatter, and there will be a conservative party that rises in its place.
Our thanks to Chuck Todd for that recap of Meet the Press.
Jury selection is set to begin today in the criminal trial of the Trump Organization. Prosecutors say the former president's company took part in a 15-year scheme to compensate top executives off the books in order to avoid paying taxes. For more on what we can expect, we're joined by NBC News investigative correspondent Tom Winter. Tom, nice to see you. The company and its then chief financial officer, Alan Weisselberg, were indicted last year following a years-long investigation by the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. Remind us how we ended up here.
Well, good morning, Steph. You may remember back in 2012, then presidential candidate Mitt Romney said corporations are people, and whether you agree or disagree with what he said, in the eyes of New York state law, that's exactly what they think, and that's the reason why the Trump Organization itself, the company, its buildings, etc., are on trial here today. This, as you said, it was a multi-year investigation, involved 2 trips to the Supreme Court to be able to get former President Trump's, then President Trump's tax returns and tax documents, a number of subpoenas, grand jury testimony from some of those closest to the former president in this company, all led us to today, and Alan Weisselberg being charged along with this company back in July of 2021. Now, somebody who's pleaded guilty, he's been convicted, and he has to testify in this trial to his own conduct, which he says he did, in which the district attorney, has charged the company with.
And as you mentioned, Weisselberg, he's already pleaded guilty to 15 counts of tax evasion, and he took that plea deal to testify against the former president's company. So what kind of punishment is the organization facing, and what might it mean for the future of the company?
Right, Stephanie. So I think that's the big question that everybody has. And under New York state law, really the only thing that can happen here, if convicted, is a series of fines for each specific count. The total, if they were to get the max, is just shy of $1.6 million. New York state law does not have any sort of provision for a company getting effectively the death penalty, meaning that they would have to go out of business or they'd have to sell their assets. There's no sort of a monitor that can be assigned to somebody that could independently review the books going forward. So the penalty here is purely monetary, and to the tune of approximately $1.6 million. Weisselberg, as you said, the star witness, because he is expected to testify. And legal experts point out that it's really a tough challenge here for the Trump Organization, because the more that they attack Weisselberg, the more things that Weisselberg might say that could be damaging to them. Already he's done the Trump Organization, legal experts believe, a huge favor in not saying anything against the former president himself, not willing to cooperate against him. So it'll be really interesting to see how that plays out here at trial.
So, Tom, a financial penalty for the company, but what could potentially happen to the former president himself? What should he be concerned about?
Right. Well, I think that's a big question that everybody has. And so when you look at that, you see, well, if the company is convicted, does it make it more difficult for them to be able to obtain financing, to get certain types of contracts that they have renewed? So I think that remains a bit of an open question. We're going to have to just see how that works. Obviously, that impacts the former president's wallet. I think the bigger challenge for him personally and legally, and as well as for the organization, is the suit that's been brought by Attorney General Letitia James. There's approximately $250 million, $250 million fine and disgorgement that could be levied against the company there, as well as a clause in that, if convicted, that could make it nearly impossible for the company to borrow from any sort of bank. They would have to go the private lending route. So I think that's something that is potentially a bigger concern, not just for the Trump organization, but for the former president and his family.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like it. Tom Winter, thank you so much.
This morning, there are concerning new developments on the Korean Peninsula following weeks of heightened tensions. Both the North and South accused each other of breaching the maritime border and exchanged warning shots in response. NBC News foreign correspondent Janice Mackey-Frayer has the latest.
Each side is accusing the other of violating the maritime boundaries. South Korea says its Navy broadcast warnings, then fired a warning shot toward a North Korean merchant vessel that had crossed the line. Now, North Korea says it responded by firing 10 artillery shells, and that it was the Navy ship that had ventured nearly 3 miles into its waters. Now, this Western Sea area, the boundaries are very poorly defined, and it's long been contested. And this is a time of real anxiety in the region with all of the recent missile testing by North Korea. There are also military drills that are underway and will last the week between South Korea and the U.S. It's always a flashpoint for the North. Military officials say that the drills, though, are designed to test the combined capabilities of forces to counter these nuclear and missile threats from North Korea. Pyongyang, though, says that it's the drills that are provocative of their own testing. They're saying that they're simulating the use of tactical nuclear weapons to, quote, hit and wipe out South Korean and U.S. targets. Now, of course, looming over all of this is the expectation that Kim Jong-un will soon conduct the country's 7th nuclear test. It's believed that test could be imminent, so this exchange of fire certainly ramping up tension in the region.
All right, Janice, thank you so much. Turning now to the war in Ukraine, the pro-Russian administration in the southern Kherson region is urging civilians to evacuate. That's because they're expecting a major counteroffensive by Ukrainian forces.
Reports say about 25,000 people have fled since last Tuesday, but that's much less than the 60,000 that local officials were aiming for. It comes as Ukraine's military continues to make gains in the south. NBC News foreign correspondent Matt Bradley joins us now from just outside the capital of Kyiv. Matt, nice to see you. Pro-Russian authorities in Kherson continue to push civilians to leave the area. And this morning we're hearing they're also forming a local militia. Just how tense is the situation there right now?
Yeah, I mean, this local militia talk, I mean, this is the kind of thing that actually the Ukrainians have been doing. They have their own local militias called territorial defense units, and they've been very effective, particularly back in 2014 when this fight really began. But I'm in touch with some people who are in Kherson, and they actually said that it's tense but joyful. And that's because the Russians have mostly evacuated. And they said it really is more like a ghost town. They've said that they don't really want to walk around. And these are people who are speaking to me by text message. The internet is really limited there, and they don't want to show their faces. We would try to do video interviews with them, but they were too frightened. And they said that, you know, the situation there is really pregnant with some sort of event that's about to happen. They feel as though there's about to be an invasion, but they don't know what that's going to look like. They don't know what the remaining Russian forces and pro-Russian elements who are still there, they don't know how they're going to react. So it really is an ominous situation there, particularly because there hasn't actually been an assault on the city of Kherson yet. But the Russians seem to be retreating ahead of that. We've also heard from them that some of these Russian forces have changed into civilian clothing, either to help them escape, pretending to be civilians, or because they want to blend in with civilians in the city and try to keep the Ukrainian forces from shooting at them. Either way, it's a very threatening and very ominous situation there in that southern city.
You know, Matt, we've seen over the last few weeks Russia intensifying attacks on Ukraine's energy facilities. So how are authorities coping with the power outages that are happening there?
Yeah, it's really extraordinary because of those energy companies are finding their own engineers on the front lines. And tragically, I spoke with actually the CEO of the state-run energy corporation. He said 5 of his people have died since the beginning of the fighting. And it's a really threatening situation because, of course, they're trying to fix the damage wrought by mostly these Iranian drones that have been specifically targeting electrical installations. And they're then in the firing line because they're targeted once again once they're in the process of trying to fix this electricity. So we heard from President Vladimir Zelensky. He said that about 30% of the network has gone down. And that's left about 1.5 million people throughout this country with either no power or rolling blackouts. So this is, according to the European Union, a war crime because they're targeting essentially civilian infrastructure. And the hope is, at least that's what people here are assuming, that the Russians are hoping that they will just sort of starve out or sort of freeze out the Ukrainians and force them into surrender.
Oh, it's going to be a really tough winter. You know, also over the weekend, Russia's defense minister held a series of phone calls with his counterparts in the U.S., Britain, France, and Turkey. He said the situation was rapidly escalating and alleged that Ukraine could use a dirty bomb. What's been the response to that?
Yeah, the White House has sort of said that this is not true. President Volodymyr Zelensky and other top officials have said that this is not true, that this is ridiculous. Ukraine gave up its nuclear arsenal back in the 1990s as a concession to Russia. So they really don't have much in the way of any nuclear devices. But a dirty bomb is a very sort of fungible notion. It's not entirely clear what that could be. It could be any manner of nuclear devices, and it doesn't necessarily mean a high-yield sort of explosion. It could be something that kind of just spreads nuclear waste or nuclear material over a certain area. Regardless, this is a really interesting gambit by the Russians. It seems as though they're setting the groundwork for possibly using their own nuclear device so they can blame it on Ukraine.
All right, Matt, thanks so much.
Let's get a check on your morning news now. Weather. Meteorologist Michelle Grossman's with us. Hey, Michelle, good morning.
Hey there. Good to see you guys. And we are watching a series of cold fronts bringing some unsettled weather across the country. We have 3 fronts that are bringing unsettled weather, one being in the northwest, one in the northern plains stretching down to the southern plains, and then one also in portions of the northeast bringing some wet weather there. So taking a look at radar, we are tracking showers. We're also tracking some thunderstorms in the northern tier of the nation. Where you see the blue, that is the snow falling. We're also seeing pink. That's a mixture of some freezing rain, some rain. And we're also looking at thunderstorms, the darker colors indicating the heaviest rain. You see those lightning strikes too there. And that's just indicating how much energy we have out there. So this is a strong cold front. It's going to bring the chance for severe weather as we go throughout this Monday, especially in portions of the southern plains. So as we slide down to the south, we're looking at higher elevation snow also in New Mexico and Arizona. Looking at lower elevation rain, some heavy rain falling in portions of Texas, also Oklahoma. And that will be the story as we go throughout this afternoon. Could see strong winds, even the chance of a tornado or two. I'll show you that in just a minute. But this is that strong cold front moving through the middle of the nation. We're seeing winds along this front up to 50 miles per hour. Could see some heavy rain, too, some heavy downpours. And we're watching the chance for a few tornadoes, winds gusting over 60 miles per hour. Could even see some hail. This cold front's going to move off to the east as we go throughout tomorrow. So portions east of the Mississippi River, threat for strong winds, tornadoes across the south, where you see those brighter colors once again is where we're expecting the heaviest rain to fall tomorrow. This is where we're looking at this evening. 21 million people at risk for strong winds gusting over 60 miles per hour, damaging hail of an inch or larger. Also a few tornadoes. So that includes Dallas, also Waco, Houston, San Antonio, Corpus Christi, and Austin. And then as we look towards tomorrow, it slides to the east, so portions of Mississippi, Alabama, where you see the yellow, that is a likely spot, 8 million at risk for some strong storms. Also looking at the chance for some heavy rainfall, really stretching from portions of the Midwest into the Mississippi Valley, the Tennessee Valley, into portions of the South. And it's really due to this temperature contrast. So out ahead of this front, we're looking at really warm weather. Temperatures well above normal for this time of year. Into the 70s, the 80s, 10 to 20 degrees above normal for this time of year. Back behind it, it is cold, 40s and 50s. We're seeing temperatures dropping 30 degrees back behind this front. So in the middle, you guys, that's where we're going to see the threat for severe weather, those heavy rains and also really gusty winds. We're going to watch this really closely for you.
We're back with the latest on the crisis at the southern border. According to Customs and Border Protection data, a record 2.76 million migrants crossed the border during the 2022 fiscal year, shattering the previous annual record by more than 1 million. For more, we're joined by NBC News Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley. Julia, good morning to you. So let's start with that record-breaking increase. Why is it so many people are trying to get into the U.S. right now?
Well, Joe, we saw two big surges this year, one in the spring and then one again in early fall, including last month when we saw a number of Venezuelans coming, Venezuelans, Nicaraguans, Cubans, so high. When I was at the border, I even saw some people sleeping on the street because it overwhelmed local shelters. Now, in Venezuela, they have a political crisis. Economic people I spoke to said they didn't have enough to eat. You often hear the same in other countries going through crises like that, like Cuba, like Haiti. People selling everything they have in order to pay people, oftentimes smugglers, oftentimes with ties to cartels, in fact, most times with ties to cartels, to come to the United States. They're in desperate situations. Sometimes it's not just political and economic, it's climate change. People in Guatemala are on farms that could no longer grow food. And a big reason for this has to do with a global phenomenon after COVID-19. A lot of places, their economies have been devastated, political turmoil is going on, and there's been a big flood to come to the United States. But oftentimes, many of them can't get in, especially those people I mentioned from Guatemala, Central America, because COVID-19 restrictions on the border, known as Title 42, are still in place. So even though they're arriving, they're not always allowed the chance to come into the United States and claim asylum.
So, Julia, I mean, it is worth noting U.S. Customs and Border Protection says those record-breaking numbers might be slightly misleading. Why is that?
Yeah, that's right. Because as I mentioned, a lot of those people might be showing up at the border, but they're actually being sent back into Mexico because of Title 42, that COVID restriction. So sometimes they're counted more than once. This year, we saw a rapid increase in people crossing the border 2 or 3 times in a single month. That person is counted again and again. These are border crossings, not migrants. And you can't also say that 2.7 million were allowed in the United States when at least half of them were pushed back into Mexico, not even allowed to claim asylum. Something that advocates of asylum and immigrants are fighting right now in court, hoping that that could be overturned, something the Biden administration actually tried to end in May, but they were also stopped in a district court.
As you mentioned, you've been to the border a number of times. What is being done there to try and deal with the surge in migrants?
Well, they're trying to increase their technology so that they can see who's coming across. They're trying to work with local shelters so that they can take in more people. Cities are oftentimes using their own money and getting reimbursed by FEMA as they set up local shelters. And in fact, we know that inside the Biden administration, they've talked about taking a page from the book of Republican governors who are putting migrants on buses into interior cities and actually doing that in an organized fashion, talking to cities so that they can set up the local resources that are needed to take in migrants, especially when you talk about migrants from countries like Venezuela, where they don't have family members in the United States. But I will say something has been done specifically on Venezuelans in the past month that could bring these numbers down. We know now that the Biden administration is starting to turn back Venezuelans, only allowing a cap of 24,000 in, and they have to be able to show that they have family members in the United States who can take care of them. Actually, a devastating blow to a lot of Venezuelans who say they have nowhere else to go and that northern Mexico is not a place where they could work or find enough to eat and are often subjected to violence. But that will bring down those numbers that we're seeing, Joe.
All right, Julia Ainsley, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Now to a dire new warning this morning on a rapidly spreading respiratory virus that's impacting children nationwide as the flu takes its seasonal toll on America's schools.
For more, we're joined by NBC News medical contributor Dr. Kavita Patel. Dr. Patel, good to have you with us this morning. So let's start with the basics about that respiratory virus that a lot of us have been seeing in the headlines lately. It's called RSV. What exactly do parents need to know about it, especially as we approach the holidays? Maybe families are concerned about large gatherings. So what are the symptoms? What can we all do to stay safe?
Yeah, Joe, Savannah, good morning. So, Stephanie, apologies. It's a very common virus that we usually see in kids. In fact, many children by the age of 2 have already had it. The problem is that over the last 2 years, we've had record low rates of all viruses, with the exception of COVID. And that's caused people to now be out and about without their masks on because everybody's kind of getting back to a new normal. Respiratory syncytial virus, it can affect all ages, but really can be profoundly under the age of 1 and over the age of 60. So we do see it causing hospitalizations in the younger children, older children. Bad news, though, Joe. Overlapping symptoms between RSV, flu, and COVID-19 make it very hard for families to try to predict. The most common thing I tell parents is that look for signs of just, increased respiratory distress, meaning it just feels like it's hard for your child of any age to get a really good breath in. Certainly if you start seeing their fingers or toes or even the little area around their lips looking a little light blue, all reasons to get as quickly as you can to an emergency room. Better idea, get a plan in place to know how to get to your pediatrician or a local health practitioner to get a rapid test. We're testing for flu, strep, RSV, COVID-19, you name it. We've got rapid tests available that we can help give you in under 15 minutes.
Dr. Patel, let's talk a little bit about the flu now. We're seeing cases surge yet again, as we usually do around this time. What should we expect heading into the holiday season this year? Are you seeing anything we should be concerned about? Are there more cases of flu than normal?
So there's certainly more cases than normally predicted in certain parts of the country. We're especially keeping an eye on the South and the Southeast. We're watching cases coming up in the Mid-Atlantic to Northeast area. And that, Stephanie, predicts that we will start to see cases rising. Again, in a normal year, we can see anywhere from 50 to about 65,000 hospitalizations from flu. We don't know if we will see more this year because we have increased flu activity. We hope that our current vaccine gives us pretty good coverage against the dominant strain that's circulating, H3N2. And that's good news all around if you get your flu shot. So we're trying to put an all-out campaign. Come in, get your COVID-19 booster shot if you're qualified, and also get your flu shot, get them at the same time, different arms. But we're hoping that by Halloween, we can get as many families vaccinated as possible to make it safe. That immunity, Stephanie, can last for several months, which hopefully gets us through the peak of our flu season.
Doctor, you mentioned COVID. Of course, we are still dealing with that. And recently, a CDC advisory committee voted in favor of adding the COVID vaccine to the recommended immunization schedule for both children and adults. So explain to us what that means. Are COVID vaccines going to be required for kids to go to school? What is the guidance here from the CDC?
No, the CDC has not ever mandated vaccines. What that updated guidance is really, Joe, directed to doctors like myself and to public health practitioners. It gives us a comprehensive overview of what we should be offering to patients and families. By the way, we put many vaccines in that schedule that are recommended, and then we talk about that with the parents. This is by no means a way for people to say, oh, you're here, now we must give you all of these shots. This is just what we put in for our schedule for suggestions on when to offer vaccines and at what points in time. Many states and local jurisdictions will take that guidance and put those sometimes into requirements. But, Joe, that's actually more rare than it is common, especially with a vaccine that is still under the EUA. This is still an emergency authorization. So many schools have not done that as a requirement for COVID-19, and I don't suspect they will.
All right, Dr. Kavita Patel answering our many, many questions this morning. We appreciate it. Welcome back. Student loan repayments, along with added interest, can make it hard for some Americans to build up personal wealth. Add in inflation, rising rates on that interest, and a potential recession. It can all seem a little daunting for your savings account.
But as NBC's Zincle Asamoah explains, some people are not struggling at all. In fact, they're thriving.
Today, it costs more to fill up your car, heat your home, and feed your family. Inflation at a 40-year high. Many Americans are struggling and barely getting by, but not everyone.
In 2021, more than 1 million Americans became millionaires. That's according to research firm Spectrum Group. In fact, according to data from the Fed, many top earners built up their savings throughout the pandemic. And Fed data reveal that the top 1% 1% hold nearly 10 times more wealth than the bottom 50% combined. But the wealth gap and income inequality were not always this dramatic. Economists like Chad Stone from the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities saying it's been decades in the making.
For the first 25 years after the end of World War II, people at every place in the income distribution saw gains that roughly doubled in the course of 25 years.
Flourishing in peace, with 67 million people gainfully employed, the most in our history, the United States today represents an achievement in good government unsurpassed in the history of man.
There was inequality. There was still a big difference between the incomes of people at the top and the people at the bottom, but it didn't widen over that 25-year period, and everybody saw their standard of living double.
Conditions started to change in the early 70s. Mr. Stone attributes this to an increase in international trade, a skills gap, and the decline of labor unions. He says this period was the end of, quote, shared prosperity.
The economy started to grow more slowly than it had been, and income inequality widened. Groups in the middle and at the bottom saw their income growth slow rather dramatically, while the top group saw their income continue to rise. And that was particularly prominent in the 1980s, but it's still ongoing.
Right now, median weekly earnings for full-time wage and salary workers is just over $1,000 or $54,000 a year. Compare that to the average for a one-bedroom rental in the U.S., more than $1,700, according to Rent.com. To help deal with rising prices, experts say consumers are flocking to discount stores like Dollar General and Dollar Tree. According to a survey from the firm InMarket, 35% of consumers say they are shopping significantly more at dollar stores. And for some people, food banks are more crucial too. Kara Ross from the Food Bank of Eastern Michigan says she sees this firsthand.
People are not making enough money. They're working the 2 or 3 part-time jobs. They may not have full benefits or health care to provide for their families, and they still haven't recovered from the effects of the pandemic.
This sentiment echoed by Kim Rierick from the Community Food Connection near San Diego.
We see a variety of people that come through. I mean, it's a lot of families that are struggling, trying to, make ends meet. And so if we can help them with their food, then that allows them to have more money to pay their rent, their mortgage, utilities, and so on.
Meanwhile, for the wealthy, spending and travel is increasing. Luxury Institute CEO Milton Pedraza saying high-end luxury brands are seeing newfound success.
A lot of retailers, a lot of luxury brands had a really good or great first half. If they were a top-tier brand like Chanel, Hermes, Gucci, Louis Vuitton, they had phenomenal first halves. Automobiles have been very hot, and I would say, sizzling hot. And even at the high end, the hypercars that are $2-3 million Bugattis and others have been on fire.
And while inflation is touching everyone, lower-income Americans are facing the brunt of it. According to a Gallup survey, 40% of upper-income households say price increases are causing financial hardship. Compare that to 74% of low-income households. When it comes to closing the gap, many Americans are on board for change. Polling from Pew Research revealing 66% of Americans who believe there is too much economic inequality think the federal government should step in to help.
But that assistance may take time, and in the short term, many Americans are left waiting.
Zincle Asamoah, thank you for that report.
Some more financial headlines now. The latest D.C. film Black Adam rocked theaters during its opening weekend.
CNBC's Bertha Coombs joins us with that and other money news. Bertha, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Stephanie and Joe. That's right. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson tops the box office. ComScore says his new DC superhero movie Black Adam brought in an estimated $67 million this weekend. It's Johnson's biggest debut as a leading man, and it's also the first weekend that the box office has topped $100 million since July, which is good news for Hollywood, because the summer movie season really fizzled in August because of a lack of titles due mostly to production delays caused by the pandemic. Meantime, Walmart is overhauling its top-selling sleepwear and Intimates line. The new brand, called Joy Spun, is being launched ahead of the holidays. Sales of intimates and sleepwear boomed during the pandemic. Can you say some people who may have worked in their pajamas at home? As stores catered to customers' desire for comfort and body positivity. Meantime, prices for Walmart's new line range from $7.98 for a sleep shirt to $34.98 for a quilted robe. And get ready to see more ads the next time you download an app on your phone. Starting tomorrow, Apple will be rolling out 2 more ad categories to the App Store, according to an email seen by Mac Rumors. Apple plans to sell space within the Today tab and at the bottom of individual app listings. They'll feature an icon with a blue background to distinguish them from other recommendations. Recent reports say that Apple is trying to triple its ad revenues to about $10 billion a year. And get this, they plan to introduce search ads to maps. I am hoping that they're not going to be rolling apps, because there's nothing like trying to bring up the map when you're stuck in traffic, trying to find an alternative route, and you're waiting for it to download.
And next thing you know, you're buying a new outfit, Bertha, and there you go. All right. Welcome back, and great Scott. It looks like a Back to the Future musical is coming to Broadway next summer. The show's producers made the surprise announcement over the weekend with a video featuring Christopher Lloyd, who of course played Doc Brown, talking with actor Roger Bart, who's been tapped to play Doc on Broadway.
Great Scott! Can this thing really do 88?
Trust me.
All right, I'll take it for a test drive. The Winter Garden Theater on Broadway.
The show is currently playing in London and won this year's Olivier Award for Best New Musical, so strap into your DeLoreans because the production is set to start previews on Broadway June 30th and will officially open August 3rd. Roads, we don't need roads where we're going.
No. You know, I'll tell you what, if this brings half as much joy as it brought to me as a kid in the 80s, it is worth going to see.
And then you can sing along with whatever the songs are. I don't know them at all, but I'm sure they're great.
I'm sure they'll be wonderful. All right, turning now to Miami Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, who returned to the action last night for the first time since suffering a scary concussion last month, making his comeback on the same day. At least 2 more NFL players were diagnosed with concussions. NBC News correspondent Jesse Kirsch has more.
You think about the back, the ankle, but he gets thrown to the ground.
Barely 3 weeks after this frightening play on Thursday Night Football,
So they work on him. We'll step away for a moment.
Miami Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa returns to the gridiron and to prime time.
I just missed it. I just missed it. Missed playing.
Sitting down with NBC Sports' Maria Taylor and in a press conference, the 24-year-old described the concussion, which sidelined him after that harrowing hit on live TV.
I wouldn't say it was scary for me at the time, because there was a point where I was unconscious, getting carted off. I don't remember that.
Just days earlier, the rising star was visibly shaken by another hit.
He's woozy.
While that was attributed to a back injury, the 2 high-profile incidents prompted the NFL and its Players Association to rewrite concussion rules, hoping to make them even more cautious. Meanwhile, Tagovailoa gradually returned to practice, was medically cleared to play, and says he also sought second opinions.
I just want to go out and do good things for my team. We only have a short span of our prime time, if you will.
It's always worth taking the time now, getting through your recovery, going back safely.
But Dr. Heather Rainey, who specializes in sports medicine, says doctors can't know for certain if and when someone has fully recovered from a concussion.
We've got various different tools, but none of them are perfect at this point.
Thinking of the longevity of me playing, get the ball out. If I'm getting sacked, just fall down. Don't try to be a superhero.
Making this quarterback's comeback in front of a national audience highly anticipated and debated. Jesse Kirsch, NBC News.
All right, finally this hour, the main event. We might be business in the front here, but a New York man is having a party in the back after winning this year's USA Mullet Championship.
Scott Salvador of Stillwater, New York, beat out hundreds of mullet enthusiasts for the top spot. The winner was announced live on the Today Show over the weekend.
And the coveted 2022 USA Main Event Mullet Championships, your winner is Scott Salvador.
Oh, yeah, the long streak. What a moment. What a moment. Joining us now is the mullet champ himself, Scott Salvador. Thank you so much for joining us. Congrats on the win. Thousands of people voted in the competition. You came out on top. I mean, it's been 48 hours now. Has it sunk in? How does it feel to be the USA mullet champion?
It feels pretty good. Thanks for having me. Feels good. I feel such an overwhelming support from my community. This this whole contest kind of stayed at a local level. So I feel like the top 25, we all had very, very good mullets. I mean, we're the top 25. So staying at the local level, I know I had the local support. It was, it's such a nice feeling. It's been sinking in over the last couple of days. I've had a good feeling we were going to win just because we had faith in it. And, you know, I wasn't surprised when they announced the victor, that's for sure, because I knew the support I had just right next to me the whole time.
You know, Scott, it is a great looking mullet. I have to say, you've got some length there. That was probably part of the reason you won. But I heard that you've cut it off once before. Right before you got married? How's your wife feeling about your mullet now?
It was before we got engaged. She was moving her whole life from Brooklyn to little old Stillwater, and she wasn't happy about it. She tells the story. She goes, we were going to a nice fancy cocktail restaurant in New York City, and I looked like Lord Farquaad. She's like, you look like the first time you ever used a blow dryer. My hair was poofed out. So she was upset. She's changing her whole life, and I couldn't even change my hair. So I cut it off for her, and I felt like a part of me died.
That's a good picture without the mullet.
I think you said that your neck started to get cold after you cut it off, right?
Yeah, I had some serious cold neck problems.
Scarf.
Such an issue.
Use
All
a
right.
scarf.
So winning the championship means you walked away with $2,500 plus prizes from event sponsors, bragging rights. I mean, what's next? Do you keep the mullet? Can you do this again? Are you retiring from competition? What's next for you?
I mean, besides global fame, that is.
Yeah, I have an automatic spot into next year's competition, so I do plan on competing again. I'm not cutting this thing off. I would consider that to be self-harm. Just after the first time I cut it off, I was, you know, I just felt like a part of me was missing. So the mullet is here to stay. It matches my identity and my uniqueness. I really enjoy it. As for what's next, I'm not quite sure. Wherever the world takes me, life's a garden, dig it, and that's Joe Dirt.
Oh, you know, Scott, for all those people out there that are looking at you and thinking, I need to grow my mullet, do you have any tips? What's the best thing? Is it extra conditioning? What do you have to do?
I'm a little au naturel. This is a pretty natural mullet for me. The mullet, you don't just choose a mullet. You don't just say, hey, I want a mullet. The mullet's going to have to choose you.
Oh, that's some good advice.
Oh, that's good. And you call it, if I recall, we had nicknames for all of them on Saturday morning. Yours is the Lord's Drapes, right?
The Lord's Drapes. This is a gift from God. I'm a practicing Christian as well. Also, Theo Von, podcaster. I met him in New York City, and he said, dang, bro, you got the Lord's Drapes. So I kept that name for myself.
All right. It worked. It brought you the championship.
The mullet has to choose you, Jen.
It does. Has it chosen you yet?
Not yet. It's coming close.
It's coming close. Maybe after this. Scott Salvador, thank you so much for joining us. Congrats again. We appreciate you taking some time to chat with us. All right. And that does it for this hour of Morning News Now.
The news continues right now.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.